The difference between fear and intuition is that intuition will actually help you grow. Let's break it down today. I really wanted to make this video because I feel like there's a lot of confusion between fear and intuition and what it feels like and like how to distinguish between the two. And fear is the very thing that keeps you trapped, keeps you confined, keeps you from growing, and it's like anxiety ridden. It's the very thing that stops you from actually facing the uncomfortable or the unknown or discomfort within you. It's the very thing that keeps you in the same cycles that you've lived through your whole life, but without expanding. Keeps you in the circle, keeps you in the cycle, but lacks expansion and lacks transformation. So fear is so rooted in the ego. The ego wants to feel safe. Safe? Is it really safety? The ego wants to feel safe, wants to feel like nothing's going wrong, wants to feed into your past traumas or your negative thinking to keep you in a box, to keep you like, we are okay over here. We don't need to expand. We don't need to grow. We are safe. This has worked in the past. We don't need any of that. So it's definitely rooted in your fears. Ego loves to be rooted in those same fears that keep you from moving forward. Whereas intuition, a lot of people say that this is like an inner knowing, a quiet knowing, and it really is. Your intuition is that it's not really a voice, it's more of like a feeling of really just knowing where you want to be, or that quiet like voice kind of saying, you know what, this just isn't working for me anymore and I need more. I need to actually face this. This is what's going to lead to transformation. This is what I need to do to overcome these cycles that I've been in for most of my life that's preventing me from healing. So your intuition is your guide. Your intuition is going to be telling you what you need to do to level up, to move on to your next level in life. Where right now you're right here, your intuition's like, we want to be here. So here's how you should do it. Even though it's unsafe and uncomfortable and unfamiliar and you're not used to it, here's where you want to be and this is where you'll feel so much better. Whereas your ego and fear is down here saying, oh, but we're safe here, we're fine. We don't need to do any of that. Like, we're just going to keep living in these cycles and feeling, safe and familiar, and we're fine, we're going to live here. So often your intuition, instead of fear, which is like anxiety ridden and you feel tense and constricted and you might start like breathing really fast when something comes up that is triggering you, or you're hesitant towards something. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to face that. I don't need to be, doing that. Your intuition is almost like a relief. It's a positive feeling. It's like, for example, if you're working a job and the job is just not working for you. If you're working a job and the job is just burning you out like crazy, the ego and fear will say, well, I can't leave. What if this? Ego and fear live in the what ifs. It's always the what ifs. So actually, this is a good exercise. Where in your life do you say, well, what if this? What if that? I can't do this because what if that happens? That's your ego. That's your fear. And actually, that might be something to take a closer look at. Like, what are you trying to avoid there? So your ego would say, or your fear would say, well, what if I can't find another job? What if I have to confront my boss and they hate me for leaving? What if I don't know what I want to do after this? What if I feel lost after quitting? What if other people are disappointed in me and look down on me for quitting? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? Meanwhile, while you're thinking all of these things, you're burnt out and you're not happy and you're living a life that you don't want to live and you're working a job that you don't want to work. And not a lot of people talk about emotional burnout. People will talk about physical burnout all the time. Very important too. But not a lot of people talk about emotional burnout. That feeling where you are not necessarily physically burnt out, but you feel like every day you wake up and you dread going to your job, or you dread interacting with this one person, or you dread being in this situation where you just cannot, it feels like someone's sucking your soul out, and you just struggle to find the will to have to go through that again, day in and day out, emotionally. So that's kind of emotional burnout. And so if you're experiencing that, but you're thinking, well, if I do this, then what if that happens? Like, that's the anxiety speaking. That's when the anxiety comes in, the overthinking. And the more you do that, the more you move toward that, the more you're moving toward the ego, and the less you're moving toward the intuition saying, it doesn't matter. You need to get out of this because you're not happy. So the more you're feeding that, as the more the what ifs come in, and the more you tell yourself, well, I can't do that, which again is fear-based too, because it's unfamiliar, leaving a job that you've been in. And the more you're feeding that, instead of listening to your intuition, which is quietly saying over and over again, it's speaking from your unconscious, saying, wait a second, we're in this cycle that is just not working. You're not happy. We're burnt out. Like, we need something new. We need a change. We need a transformation. We need to shift. That is going to keep you aligned with where you want to be and where you should be, honestly. Another example is a relationship where your ego and the fear is saying, oh, well, I shouldn't be in this anymore. Where it's staying in those same patterns that you're used to, where you're not feeling heard, where you're not feeling respected, or even if you're noticing similar patterns in your previous relationships that did not work out for you. But your ego and your fear is going to say, oh, well, we're not going to leave. We're not going to speak up. We're going to just keep doing this because we're safe. Like, we can keep it together. We can keep it under control. We can, we have a sense of safety and a sense of connection. But do you really? We have a sense of safety and connection with this person. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's good. That's actually another thing. If you've ever said, like, I'm fine, I'm good, that's your ego saying, we're okay, but are you really? So then your intuition is saying, we need to get out, like something's not right. And not even that you need to get out, but maybe that you need to speak up, or you need to start setting boundaries, or something needs to change, or you need to communicate a certain way to your partner, or you need to communicate your needs. Like, your intuition is going to keep coming up saying something is not right here. Something doesn't feel right. If you're people pleasing, your ego and your fear is going to say, we're good. Like, if we just take care of them, if we please them, if we give them what we want, then we're fine. And your intuition is going to keep coming up saying, well, what about my needs? When do I matter? I'm exhausted and I'm giving so much to all of these other people, but you're not giving to yourself. So that's the intuition coming up saying something, again, needs to shift. It might be unfamiliar to start setting boundaries with other people, but your intuition knows that that's what's best for you. So that's the difference between ego and fear and intuition. The ego and fear is rooted in anxiety and feeling constricted to those same patterns and cycles that do not help you grow. And the what ifs start coming up, like what if this, what if that? The overthinking starts coming up. Panic might even start coming up. And then the intuition is that inner knowing, that quiet knowing and feeling of, I deserve more. I need a shift. What about me? This is what I need for transformation. This is what I need to expand and grow and heal and heal. And oftentimes the intuition is uncomfortable. Whereas even though it feels like a relief and it feels like a breath of fresh air to kind of feel, to know what you deserve and to know where you should move toward, it's going to be unfamiliar territory. Whereas your ego and fear is what you're so used to. What is familiar, but it's not in your best interest. It's not actually keeping you safe. It's feeding into itself. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps you distinguish the difference between fear and intuition. And sometimes it really does take practice to understand the difference between the two. And oftentimes your ego and your fear is much, much louder than your intuition, which is, again, why it's called this quiet knowing, because it's not loud. It's not like in your face, but you feel it in your gut. You feel it. And it keeps coming up slowly, and it's always going to be there if you're in a situation that is not in alignment with what you need or who you are or what you desire or what you want. So just start practicing, like listening to both, even, listening to your ego and just noticing where it shows up, where your intuition shows up. Those are the very circumstances in your life that are stopping you from leveling up. And the very circumstances that you need to be taking a look at and like seeing what's really going on here. So yeah, I hope that helps. If it did help you, feel free to like this video and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.